Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Roll number is 07, subject is environmental engineering, and today my topic is about air pollution. Here is the introduction written here, air pollution. And second. Okay, air pollution is defined as the presence of certain substances in the form of particles or gases in concentrations high enough or for durations long enough to cause harm or undesirable effects. Most contaminants originate from combustion or reduction processes. Here in introduction it is written that air pollution, anything which can cause harm or which can cause danger to the human health is considered in air pollution. And most air contaminants arise from combustion and reduction processes. Now, in continuous increment, each year the number of possible sources increase rapidly with the accelerating trends of population growth, urbanization, industrialization, and increased affluence. Here, in continuous increment, it is written that as the time is passing, the air pollution is also increasing day by day. Why? Because of population growth. As the population growth is increasing, it leads to increasing in air pollution. Urbanization means the development of cities. As the cities are developing and growing day by day, it can lead to continuous increment of air pollution, and industrialization and increased effluence. These all are the main cause of the increased air pollution. Common pollutants include dust, soot, ash, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, hydrocarbons, chlorofluorocarbons, lead compound, asbestos, and and dust, pollen, and radioactive waste. These all are the common pollutants which I mentioned here. And here some common pollutants and their effect on human health. Here some common pollutants are written against their effect, means that what is the effect on um, of that particular pollutant written here. Means that carbon monoxide, it can lead to toxicity, blood poisoning leading to death. Means that carbon monoxide is very dangerous for health. It can lead to toxicity, or it can poison yourself, and it can lead to death as well. Sulfur dioxide, SO2, irritation of throat and eyes, aggravation of asthma. Irritation of throat, it can cause irritation of throat and eyes, and further increase in asthma. Oxides of nitrogen can lead to headache, respiratory irritation, teeth, corrosion, disability of lungs. And here mercury can damage to brain and nervous system. Lead cause sulfur and kidney damages, mental effect, intestinal damage. So here some diseases caused by that common pollutants are mentioned here. Now, latest technologies for air pollution control. And first technique, absorption. Absorption, in this technique, the polluted air containing gases pollutants is passed through a scrubber carrying a suitable liquid absorbent which absorbs the harmful gases pollutants present in the air. In absorption, as you know that there is a column called absorber, and in absorber you pass a solvent from the top of the absorber and gas goes from the bottom. So solvent is responsible for absorbing the harmful contents of gas. So that whole process takes place in absorption. A solvent is used for absorbing harmful gas. In adsorption, in this technique, the polluted air is passed through the porous solid adsorbents kept in suitable containers. The gases pollutants are adsorbed at the surface of the porous solid and clean air passes through. Here in adsorption, the concept is same, but the difference is that in absorption, solvent is used, but in adsorption, a solid porous surface is used, in which the harmful content of your air get stick on the surface of that adsorber. So if in adsorption solvent is used, and in adsorption uh, porous solid surface is used on which pollutants can stick, and the remaining gas passes through that adsorber. Combustion, this method is applied when the pollutants are organic gases or vapors. Organic air pollutants are exposed to flame or catalytic combustion when they are converted to less harmful product, carbon dioxide, and processed water. Especially when your pollutants in air are organic, means that their ignition temperature is low or they can easily ignite. So, and in that sort of situations, you should use that combustion technique to avoid the contaminants in air, because if you provide ignition, then what happened, and that your harmful content combust out, and the remaining less harmful product, carbon dioxide and product water, are achieved. Gravity, in this process the particulate settles down by the action of gravitational force and gets removed. Gravity is also a main technique. It takes time, but it is it is its cost is very low in that technique, gravity, because in the gravity technique your contaminants or your polluted particles settle down by the force of gravity, and your remaining air goes from the top. So that is the technique called gravity. Rapid change in the direction of flow. This brings about separation of particles due to greater momentum. Fabric filters. The particulate matter is passed through a porous medium made up of woven or folate fabrics. Filled fabric. The particulate present in the polluted air is filtered and gets collected in the fabric filters while the gases are discharged. The process of controlling air pollution by using fabric filters is called bag filtration. Now in fabric filters, the concept is same as in adsorption, means the solid is used for removing the contaminants from gas, but here the difference is that that porous medium is made up of woven or filled fabrics. And the remaining concept is here that the contaminants get attached at the woven or filled fabric surface, and this process is also called bag filtration. Wet scrubbers, they are used to trap sulfur dioxide, ammonia, and metal fumes by passing the fumes through the water. Now in wet scrubbers, they are similar to absorber, but the difference here in wet scrubber is that the solvent is water. Remaining concept is same as in absorption. Electrostatic precipitators. When the polluted air containing particulate pollutants pass through an electrostatic precipitator, it induces an electrical charge on the particles, and then the aerosol particles get precipitated on the electrode. Electrostatic precipitator means that when your air containing contaminants is passed through that electrostatic precipitator, it induces an electric current because of the influence of electric current, your contaminants your contaminants stick on the electrodes or precipitate on the electrodes. So that's the technique of how you can separate your contaminants from air. If your electricity is cheap, then you can apply that technique. Otherwise, it can be costly. Steps to overcome air pollution. Now there are some steps written here to overcome air pollution. How to overcome air pollution? If you follow these steps, then there are chances that your air pollution can be controlled. Number one step is stepping up an emission limit. First of all, you know that what is the limit, what is the allowed limit of that pollutant in the environment. I give you example of carbon capture, then it is not necessary to absorb 100% carbon dioxide coming from the post combustion, but it is necessary to that do not allow carbon dioxide above the limited quantity in an environment, and it shouldn't exceeds above the limited quantity set by the government holders in that environment, set by the standards. Actually, you should not exceed that limit. So I gave you an example of carbon dioxide. You can apply that example to any other harmful chemical as well. And number two is identifying all emission sources. Before choosing a technique or before applying any technique to sort out that air pollution problem, first of all you have to identify what are the sources of emission. Sources means that from which equipments which equipments are responsible for air pollution, and from which part of that equipment the pollutant air is coming out. So first of all, identify that particular points, particular equipments, particular parts of the machinery from which the polluted air is coming out. That identification is really important. Number three is investigating process modification. Now number three technique, as you know that you have to choose the suitable operation technique for controlling air pollution. Means that if you are using electrostatic precipitator, that it doesn't mean that you use that technique in all conditions. You have to consider optimization effects, you have to consider suitable factors, you have to consider the suitable method of removing that contaminants from the air. So you have to investigate, you have to modify the process. Means that if you have a process of capturing air pollutants, then you can modify it in order to reduce its cost and in order to reduce its time. So modification is really very important. Defining the control problem. Here, defining the control problem means that the polluted air which you are going to control, you should know the properties of that air. You should know that what is the temperature and pressure of that polluted air, or what is the flow rate of that air, and what is the concentration of the pollutant present in the air. You should know all that before going to select a technique for removing air pollution. Now finally, the selecting of control system means that after working on all above four steps, now you can select any technique to remove your air pollutants from the air. So this is the final step. Thank you.